I'd like to call the meeting to order. The first order of business on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The next order is the consent agenda, approving the minutes from 2/3/26 and the scheduled claims list.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passed. This is the time that we allow the public to come up and provide us or give us any public comments. We ask that when you come to the podium that you turn on the microphone and that you please state your name and your address. Do I have anyone from the public that would like to come up and make a comment? Tina?
Hit that button.
Yeah, it should be a green light.
Oh, you get the microphone like the price is right. This is okay. Tina, we'll get you there in just a couple minutes, okay?
Hello. Thank you. Tina Rakes, 312 Indiana Street. And we have two showcases this evening. So, no, I'm kidding.
I got it. Thank you.
I want to thank the mayor for his report from the library last week. I found that very informative. I mean, I go in and out of the library, not on any committees or boards there, and I really enjoyed hearing the phenomenal numbers that you shared. So with that, I was going to encourage the remainder of the council, because you probably get out in the public and are exposed to more things than, you know, just a citizen, unless they are a participant in a committee or something, to continue to share that. That's positive news.
Good.
So yes, thank you very much for that. I know we are talking utilities, and I didn't know when this would be appropriate, but I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there to ask the council to reconsider the half-price building permit ordinance that was adopted. And not only that, because I truly do not believe that it is keeping people from building here. And I don't know all the jurisdictions, but I would challenge you to see if there's another jurisdiction that is continuing the half-price permit. And then in addition, our staff is providing free labor for the installation of the infrastructure. And that is just, especially with our incentives that we have now, I mean, I think it could potentially make a difference on whether we're needing to raise utility rates. So I'm just throwing that out there now. So thank you
Okay.
very much.
Good, thank you. And as regards to the library, believe me, they're the champions of that. They deserve the recognition, but thank you. They did an excellent job. Anyone else? Okay, not having anyone approach the podium, we'll close that time. Any kind of special reports or presentations? I take that to be no. Any old business? I also take that to be no. Okay, we're going to move on to new business, and we got a lot of territory to cover tonight, a lot of ordinances. You know, I want to preface it with this. You know, I know the council works hard on all these issues. I know it, I get to understand it. They also make decisions sometimes that are not popular or favorable. But I know they've worked hard to do, and they're going to consider this and give us a full consideration tonight as to how we move forward, what we do, and whether we accept rate increases or not, or how much or how little. That being said, I ask that each and every one of us tonight, myself included, that we handle ourselves in a very adult manner, that we are respectful to everyone in the audience, respectful to each council member, and that we, yes, leave the drama at the door. So that being said, I think what we're going to do is start off with ordinance 1531, where we discuss the grant, the gas franchise. I'm going to open it up for discussion.
So ordinance 1531 is the natural gas franchise fee. The last time we approved this was 20 years ago. It's approved every 20 years. So that was back in 2006, and now we're in 2026, and it's up for renewal. The gas company reached out to me several weeks back about renewing the franchise fee.
Where's it at right now, Russ?
As far
Percentage-wise?
percentage-wise, it's 6%.
Is what they were, the current contract with them?
The current contract was at 3%, and what we've gone with all the other utilities is at 6%.
So that's the ordinance
And
here.
that's, so in this ordinance, it reads 6%.
So we'd be going from 3 to 6,
Correct.
and that franchise fee goes where?
General.
General fund.
They all go to general.
I'm just wondering because that's the only utility we don't own.
I'm sorry.
That's the only utility we don't own, so I'm not sure. I was just, if they get a cut of that, because since we own our own utilities, maybe we've been just taking,
No,
maybe we get half and the utility gets half, but we're the utility.
no, we would get all of that. And the other ones that there's franchise fees on is like Brightspeed or Clearwave are some other ones.
Why are we going from 3 to 6?
In when we were last approved, it was I want to say it was the water rate, the franchise fee. At that time, the council at that point had determined that they were all going to 6%. But you guys can make any kind of determination on what you want it set. You cannot go any higher than 6%.
I was under the impression that when we were discussing that, it was the utilities within the city's umbrella. The renewal of the gas, I don't remember being discussed.
So the gas hasn't been discussed because it was originally approved in 2006, and so it was for 20 years.
Can you go higher later if you needed to?
The state has a sanctioned amount of 6%.
But no, I mean, if you stayed at 3 and you found yourself, the general fund was light and you felt you needed to go to 6, could you do it down the road? Do you have to wait 20 years?
I think that's pretty much on this one locked us in for 20 years.
So you can't go back on it either.
There's no going back.
And what will that 3% extra do?
Let's check this just to make sure there isn't anything in here.
The last I thought, the general fund was in pretty good shape.
Okay, so on here it says franchise fee may be renewed once every 5 years from the effective date. So we could reopen it in 5 years.
Yeah, but gas is a big utility compared to MediaCom. I'm concerned about that
Yeah,
increase.
so what's the reasoning for going up the extra 3%?
that's where the councils of the past have taken all the other utilities up to. And this would just bring them
We're
all
just
in line.
taking 3% extra off the top of that to put into our general fund. That's what we're,
No, all of it goes into general fund.
okay.
So that 6% is a historic figure that we've used.
Correct.
used in the past.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's paid by the utility. Now, don't know whether they're passing
But
all
they
that.
probably,
Yeah, I mean, it's paid by the utility. That's why our utilities have to come out. We pay the general fund. It comes out of the utility, so.
but if we raise their franchise fee to 6, then they're just gonna charge
Potentially.
everyone else, all our customers, 3% more. Right? I'm just asking.
Don't know, but that's a
But that,
potential.
I mean,
Is that typically what's happened?
I would assume it, I don't know why we would assume that's not what would happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think, I'm just trying to see if I can pull up a bill and see if I don't think they have a separate line item for it. So it'd just be buried in the rate.
and I never look at that one because I'm on level
Yeah, me
pay,
too.
or I'm just
I mean, I think it's probably buried in the rate.
Mm-hmm.
So on their bill, it's actually broke out.
Is it? Okay. So it would be passed on.
So this 6%, if it's increased, that will lock in for another 20 years?
Well, we could revisit it in 5. He said we could revisit it in 5.
We could revisit it in 5, but we have to give 120-day notice
Okay.
to the gas company that we're looking at that.
I can't imagine a world where they just give you 3%. That's,
I mean, so basically, we'd be raising our community's gas bill by 3%. So,
Yeah.
Do we know all the ramifications with, as this is like what Councilman King says, well, if we only go 3%, I mean, and how that might fall out, or the repercussions from that, or kind of the ripple effect of it?
I mean, I wish I could tell you what they would be, but I mean, I don't know.
And we haven't had any other history of cities doing this where we can maybe look back and see what's happened with them when they've done this?
From my research, that most of the cities are already charging 6%.
Okay.
We're actually one of the only ones that I found that was doing 3.
Okay.
Just you understand the relationship between this franchise fee and, it goes to the general fund, which then is not spent on the utility. It's spent on the general fund, which is public safety, all those things that are supported by sales tax and property tax and franchise fee. And those are the 3 things. So as we look at what we want to do with those things in the general fund, this is just a revenue source that you either get, the only ones you can control is this, the franchise fee, and property tax with the mill levy, right? Sales tax is going to happen, whatever it happens to be. So that's why I think cities go to the max on it, because it does support the general fund. And then it theoretically would minimize your need to increase the mill levy to do some things you wanted. So that's the trade-off.
so it's just basically how we want to charge them. I mean,
When it comes down to it, that's what it comes down to. And if we don't raise it and we need to, then the lever we have left is the mill levy, right? Which is never popular. And the thing to think about is it's 2 different constituencies, if you think about it, because not everybody pays property tax. The big, our school district and Baker, churches, they don't pay property tax,
they pay gas.
but they pay utilities. So that's one way to kind of distribute it a little bit more on everybody. Just trying to give you guys things to think about how this is all interrelated. There is no right or wrong answer here, and I don't think it changes a whole lot. I don't even know what the amount was for the year. Yeah.
Around 45,000.
Okay. At 3%?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, that's
Getting
like
close to a mill.
It's a mill, getting close. So,
Any other questions, or Julie, kind of what's your thoughts on it?
I really haven't had any thing to do with this, so it's all new to me. So I'm
This is the
pretty
first
much
reading, right?
listening.
Yep.
Yeah, first reading.
is there a deadline on that for us?
Let me see here if there was. Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing one just jump out at me.
So it was originally signed June 19th of 2006, so your 20-year period's going to expire June 19th of 2026.
Yeah, it is first reading.
I'm sorry?
So, yeah, I mean, I think we don't have a deadline. Doesn't sound like. If it was a 20-year agreement and that was the start date.
And one thing you guys might want to kind of watch and see what happens is with that new House bill that's coming through, because if that is signed into law, we're going to be doing our budgets 2 years out. And if there's some kind of emergency or some kind of situation, I mean, we could really be putting our officers and our community in a lot of pain because we won't have the budget to help them.
So what feeling am I getting from the council? You want to kind of examine this further, or you want to go with what we have here, or?
Well, we gotta,
Yeah, I think,
it's an ordinance. We have to read it twice.
and we didn't talk about it at the utility forum, which we used as the first reading of the other utilities.
So we just table it?
Yep, yep.
So I need a roll call to table this, or do we just table? Okay.
There's just no
You
vote.
just-
No action, no
Okay, so
motion.
table it.
If you
No
don't have
action
a
until it
motion, we
comes
don't
back.
do anything.
Does anyone from the public have a comment on this? We didn't let the
Jake?
public.
Yes.
Does anyone from the public have a comment?
Hello? The 6% is, so we charge the gas company 6%, no? How- I'm trying to wrap my head around, so each person's bill, there's an additional 6%?
It'll go up 3%, yeah. And that'll go
Or
to,
whatever
that'll go to
number?
the gas company. The gas company writes the check to us for the general fund.
Okay. I mean, I was just trying to understand how that,
It's a lot of
Dollar
moving
amount.
parts.
because you wouldn't, so you really don't know, you can guesstimate by people's, we wouldn't be able to tell unless they shared it with us, because they know their,
Well, it's just, I guess that's not quite accurate. It's assumed that the gas company it'd be passed on in your rate, but
Sure,
technically, if you raise the 6%, the gas company's got to write now a 3% additional check to the city.
because that's the practice of the city, for an example, right? If we have to increase our,
Yeah, it's baked
we
in there.
automatically pass that. Okay, all right. I just want to make sure I understood where that 6% was being
Yeah.
figured, and it's on our individual bills.
Yeah. it's in
Kind of,
there.
okay, thanks.
Any other questions by the public, comments? Thank you, Jay, for picking that up, too.
And no problem.
Okay, I guess right now, we just kind of table ordinance 1531 of the gas franchise for further research. Now we're going to move to ordinance 1532, which is everyone's favorite, the electric rates. So started off with some conversation, some feedback.
Well, I have a question. When I was looking through this, I was kind of confused about the rates for some that had a zero debt fee and I'm wondering why that is, and I think I kind of know what it is, but I don't think maybe the public will know what it is. You see that 0% debt fee, and when they're paying whatever it is, $27 something for the debt fee for them.
Russ, you want to jump in?
So you've got two different customer class types. You have demand customers and you have non-demand customers. So in the ordinance, how it states is that debt service fee is calculated on what your total debt service is for that year. So for non-demand customers like residentials, the debt service fee is passed on through as a separate debt service fee, which is on the bill, would be debt service fee. But for demand customers, and those demand customers are large use customers, like industrial, school district, like Baker. For demand customers, the debt service fee is incorporated into the billing demand as well as the energy charge rate is how it's set up. And then that way they're truly paying their fair share when you break it down into the individual numbers based on the usage as a commercial customer, which would be a demand, as opposed to the non-demand, which would be a residential.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I guess so. Was there something in there too about taking an average over several years?
So there's with ordinance 1532, there's two different options that I put in the packet. That way you guys would have some choices. Option one is basically with how it is set up is that it figures whatever the debt is. So let's say if you had, I don't know, let's say $100,000 worth of debt that you're paying on for that year, it figures up what it is for that 1 year. That's option one. Option two spreads it out over 3 years because you're going to have ups and downs as debt falls off, and then debt is going to jump back on. Say like for instance, like once the substation debt jumps back on, it'll go up. But by doing the 3-year average, you don't have those spikes, and you don't have the ups and downs. It's kind of how it's designed. That's what a lot of the utilities try to do.
It just smooths out the increases and decreases, spreads it out. So instead of doing 100% 1 year, you're kind of doing a third. You end up, it's an increase, and you end up paying it, but you spread it out over 3 years instead of all 1 year.
My question on this is if what we're looking at this 3-year average, is this something that the citizens within the community can say in 3 years, I know it's going to be this average every year, or is it going to be we come back in a year and a half, go, now we need more, and it's jumped up again?
So what happens is we take 26, 25, and 24, 3-year average, and that's what we charge in 26. Okay. If something falls off in 27 or is added, then we add 27, 26, and 25 and take the 3-year average. Now, if that 27 jumped up, $100,000, and we're only doing 1 year, we'd have to increase the debt service to get it all in 1 year.
You would have a bigger increase.
It'd be a bigger increase for that 1 year. Then it would be, and then it would kind of stay there until that debt's paid off or something falls off. So it basically, instead of doing this, it kind of does this, and then it does that. It just smooths out those increases and decreases.
Okay.
There's no savings either way. It's just kind of what you do in 1 year is sticker shock. It definitely addresses that.
Because Russ, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because we're gonna have some debt dropping off next year.
Yep.
And then debt coming back on the following year, so that second year, people could see their bills a little lower next year, but then, oh my gosh, it just went up 15 to 6. I'm not saying that's what it's going up, but it's going up a bigger amount, and then we're kind of in the same situation we were in July when when people were upset about 10%, where it could potentially, if it lowers next year, it could be more than that. So,
And that's correct. In 27 debt, there's a significant amount of debt that falls off. But then when 28 hits,
then it goes,
it's going to it's going to jump right back up with the new substation that's going in.
Other
So-
comments?
What would be the difference in percentages if we went with the 1 year this year or the 3 year?
Good question. So that's the difference. If you look at the option 1 and option 2, the debt service fee would go from $27.46 to $27.88. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
So it's about $5
Difference over the course of the year.
per meter per year, because the last 3 years were all pretty close to they didn't move much. So it's basically $5 per meter per year more if we do the 3-year option. But the rate drops accordingly to pay for that. So you're not paying twice. So if you look at the rate's slightly higher on the lower debt bond fee on option 1, and it's slightly lower on the 3-year option. So the amount you pay for any given customer for any given kilowatt hours they use would be the same either way. So the I guess a better way to say it, the utility comes out to what we forecasted the revenue needs to be, either paid through the debt bond payment on the fee on the bill, and the rate. So with one goes up, the other one comes down. So you end up at the end of the year with the same number as a utility. So now it does impact a little bit. If you're a low user and your debt meter fee goes up a little bit and you don't use as much kilowatt hours, it might impact you slightly more. And if you use more kilowatt hours, it might be less. So there's this curve. But this year at $5 per meter, it's for the year, it's not a huge differential.
so it's not $5 per month, it's $5 for the year.
It's 48 cents a month.
Okay.
It's 27,
That's with
40,
the
yeah, it's
3-year,
40
that's
cents.
with the 3-year average? Okay. And with the 1 year, is it the same?
So the 1 year is 27.46 a month, and the 3 years 27.88. So it's 42 cents a month per meter, which times 12 is actually a little under about $5.
Any other questions? Because now's the kind of time, I guess, that to ask them, this is what we think, and I know this is not a popular topic or subject with anybody. I know that I've heard from citizens within the community, but that's why we're all up here to do what's best for the community, and Jay's reflected it, Cora's reflected it. I mean, all of us have, that we do what's best. So, your preference, Russ, if you had your wish list?
No, I
Putting you on the hot seat, buddy.
I mean, pretty much it's the same either way. I mean, it figures out to the 2.43% increase. So it just kind of depends on how you want to slice it.
And how do you all want to slice it?
I don't want to slice it.
You don't? Okay.
No, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 utility rate increases. I mean, do we realistically, after the rates increased last year, that we should do all these?
Comments?
You get your gas franchise, you think about it, you raise the other 4, that's 6% of a higher number now that is increasing those franchise fees. So that's more already going to the general fund. So I think The water rates you can't do anything about. That's Lawrence passing it through. The sewer rates are probably one of the more pressing ones, and it's definitely one of the smaller numbers. Trash rates we can't do anything about, which I'm still trying to. I know we're going down the list here, but the decision here is impacted by what might be decided down the road. If you raise the electric rates, well, now we're raising trash, water, and sewer too. So I feel like we kind of need to have this one big conversation. And I don't know that we have many levers to pull here, and we should be pretty careful with which ones we do. Can the electric fund survive without this increase this year? I mean, when I left the budget committee, it was on track, and I feel like it tracked better than we thought it was going to when we'd forecasted it.
No,
Is this
That's a good question. If you remember the Baker Tilly, I mean, you could put that one dock up, that their slide for electric. You're thinking about it the right way. Obviously, you've been on, you know how it works. It's all about reserve, right? So what you charge, you can either, you try to break even if your reserve is where you want it to be. Is that the one? Yeah, that's it, thanks. But so what they're showing for the end of last year was a little over $1 million in reserve, which is actually slightly higher than our policy. But if you remember in the forum, what we talked about is we didn't do the full MCI because it was like 2.9 because we didn't need it all. And actually, they're forecasting like $131,000 deficit, which if you look at what they're forecasting for 26, it brings it back down to 900,000. So to your point, Corey, it's anything lower than the rates that are in those ordinances, we're just going to end up with less reserve, and that's the discussion we need to have. And that's if we want to do that, we can do that. Absolutely. We've always been kind of chasing the policy, and we'd still be in policy
We'd still be in pretty.
all the way down to 540. What is that? 26. 550K basically.
Bottom line.
So, I mean, to your point, it's really where do you want to end up in the reserve for this utility, and then what's the plan for next year and the following year? So what's the goal? Where do you want to land this year? You set the rate for that, and then say, okay, we just may add a little bit more next year than we planned to get it back up to where you want it. So that's the whole discussion. That's all we really can do is impact the reserve fund with the rate.
So if you don't raise it,
So
now, then next year you would have to tack on that to next year's and then
Well,
increase
so-
it even more.
it depends on where you end up, and all you can do is based on the assumption at the start of the year how many kilowatt hours are going to be used. So it really is an assumption. It's a forecast. It's going to be wrong one way or the other, slightly or more. But so I kind of just took a stab at what happens if we didn't raise either the debt fee or the per kilowatt hour rate for the year, and that 137K deficit I think would grow to about 270 as a deficit, and would end up about 635 in the reserve
In 27 or 26?
this year.
26.
26. So with the rate increase at 2.43%, we're projecting to be at 900K, kind of right at the top end of our reserve policy. If we don't raise either of those rates, the bond debt or the per kilowatt hour, would end up at about, just my swag at about 630K, which is still within policy, just at the lower end.
It's just the conversation, we've had it many times about, do you want to surf the wave of the reserve, policy, that 15%, or, but then you got to think about it just from a consumer standpoint. In the last year, if all these were passed and then you took the last 9 months, that's a massive jump for our citizens. I just feel like if you have an opportunity, the water rates we can't do anything about. You know, and you're kind of handcuffed to some of these.
Right.
And I feel like we should be, I almost wish the electric rate conversation was last on the list.
Well, we can
wanna
table it till the.
I want to see where these go.
Yeah, that's fine.
I do.
I'm good with that. You good with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Real quick, are we gonna revisit these at all, like later on down the road in this?
Well, we can. I mean, we can do it next month.
Because,
I mean, there's
Just saying if
nothing
we-
that stops us from doing an ordinance
yeah.
every meeting.
Well, real quick. In my opinion, I mean, if we're gonna raise electric at all this year, right now, when it's not the summertime, might be just something to think about. I'm not saying we should, but this is just something to think about. Right now, a lot more people in the community would be able to handle that, I think, more than when the AC kicks in. And then that we could also say, hey, and I'm not saying that we should go this route. I'm just saying if we decide out of all these things, electric goes up, we decide on that now, then we could also say with a caveat of let's plan on in June and July looking at that reserves. And if we are comfortable, which seems like we should be, then all of a sudden the rates go down in the summer instead of up, and I think that would give some people some relief. But that's just something.
That's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, but it's kind of an illusion though, because the majority of the meat and potatoes of the electric fund is June, July, and August. I mean, that's where you fund the entire thing pretty much. That's where the real big jumps are. So I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like you have to pick one or the other and kind of go with it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the creative thinking, Pete, but I would caution us, like, the percentage, if we do it for these little months, it still may not get us where we want to be if we lower it for the summer months when, like Corey said, that's when the bills are higher, so we get more from that. I mean,
I know these things are, when we're talking about increases, my concern though is to make sure that we had a healthy reserve to expect the unexpected. I mean, we just don't know what's coming down the road and what could happen. And I think we need to have adequate reserves to be able to handle whatever at least does happen to a point. And I mean, there might be a point, it's like that saying, how long is a piece of string? We just don't know, what I'm saying, the reserves, when's enough enough? And it's just, I think we need to be prepared for that. And then, my comment is we pay our financial advisors or finance people, Baker Tilly, to give us advice. What's their advice? What are they suggesting? I mean, we're paying them.
What were they? Were you in the budget?
That's where the 2.4.
Yeah, that's where the two,
That's what I'm saying. That's what they're going with.
yeah, they're going with the 2.43%.
Okay.
so let's also remember that in last July, they were wanting to charge more than what we ended up doing.
Let's also remember that the citizens of Baldwin didn't elect Baker Tilly to make decisions for them.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And I mean, because Scott, Corey and Scott and Russ, you guys were in those conversations with them last July. They were wanting to go up, 16% instead of the 10 that we did, we're right around there, roughly?
It's one of the options. There's like 3 options.
Yeah. But I mean, they were, all 3 of them were higher than what you guys landed on and brought to the council. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, like any financial advice you get, I mean, they're paid to be conservative, right? So they're looking out for the worst case scenario for your community. They don't want to be a part of running something really tight and all of a sudden you need it and it's not there
Yeah.
and they recommended it. So they're always going to be. That's their job, is to be conservative. They deal with a lot of cities. So they see it all. So take it for what it's worth. It's just a recommendation. And to Corey's point, the council can do what we want to do, but we have to live by it and support it. And to Peter's point, it's not a one-way street, right? You can change it mid-year, which we don't like to do always if it's the wrong way, but you kind of got us in trouble last year. We wanted to wait for 6 months to see if the forecasted numbers were actually going to happen that we were being told, because it sounded so high, and it was. So you know, we kind of pushed that off for 6 months. When we looked back, we didn't need to do that.
Well, you know, and I'm not here to indict anyone over anything, but I think also what we're seeing tonight is a little bit of a backlash from previous handling of this electrical issue. It's just tough to handle. You know, so I mean, we're trying to keep previous years in perspective and this year, and we're trying to juggle it and do the right things. And you know, I just want to arrive at what I think to be the correct and right answer for the citizens of the community and also for the health of the city. We have the health of the organization to be concerned about.
So do you suggest they go to the 2.43?
I suggest if we can give them the lowest we can give them, we give it to them, but we stay consistent all the way across. We don't go through at the start and give them a lower or higher than jacket lower. I just think it's a nice, slow, steady. And you know, I'm not gonna lie, do you think I wanna see my electric bill go up as well? I don't. But I think for us to be where we need to be, these are some of the issues that we have to deal with, and kind of this is where I feel like you know, as a leadership come into play, it's like, hey, this is not a popular decision, but it's what's best for the city and the health of the organization, which means that we do, once the organization is healthy, we look out for our citizens within the community. That's just my 2 cents.
I agree with you. I mean, I was a part of that last decision, and I voted for it. And I at the time, I mean, that big jump was necessary to get us to making up some ground. I feel like now that we've done that and we're a little closer to that mark, we can be a little more cautious, so we don't have to go pulling the trigger on every single possible increase that we have to take. And we have some here that are being we're completely chained to. You can't do anything about some of these, and it's also the responsible decision sometimes to pull back a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on the fence. I can see actually both sides. It's really comes down to, you know, how confident are we in the forecast, and where would it be acceptable to land in the reserve at the end of the year? I mean, we sat through some pretty tough conversations with the public about using reserve fund, which we'd be doing here, to pay for the higher costs that cost utility, right? So rather than raising the rates, we wouldn't raise the rates. Well, that extra revenue is coming out of the reserve fund. So we'd be pulling it back down. Rather than landing at 900,000, we'd land at 650,000. So it's that same thing where it's like, okay, but we came from a reserve that was way too high. We just didn't catch it in time to stop. You know, the prices drastically changed enough, but we were using the reserve. We didn't raise rates for 20 years.
I know, and during that, I mean, the pandemic had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
There was there was 3 years I can think of where we were so careful with not raising anything because everybody was in such bad shape anyway, and then the materials going through the roof. It was the supplies that killed the reserve,
Right.
and nobody could have predicted that.
Right.
And I don't feel there was much we could do, and it just shook out the way it shook out. But it's not the same scenario that we're dealing with back then. Right. Things have come down, and I think that things are a little more consistent, more predictable. And I think that our forecasts back then were we're like, who the hell knows? Who knows what that's going to be? And now I feel like we have a better forecast. And if that forecast still leaves you within the reserve policy, I don't know that I can raise rates knowing that we're already in the reserve with our forecast. Otherwise, what's the point of having a forecast? What's the point of having a reserve policy?
You know, I agree with that. I do. I see what you're saying, Corey, and I do really agree with it. And I think you're making a statement that's justified to a point, but I don't think you can ever consider every forecast and everything that's out there and say that nothing is going to happen. We're going to stay a course this way year after year. There's black swan events out there. We don't know how that could be. It could be another virus that props up. It could be a crash in the stock market. It could be whatever that we and you and I can't predict. And I think we're in a better shape if we have a little bit more of a reserve to weather that. Now, I'm not saying that we build that reserve all the way, to the sky and back, that we get it what I feel is acceptable, then we kind of live with it and we back off a little bit and move forward. In Corey, I'm sorry, I've been in the business of predicting the unpredictable. And it's just, I know there's too many variables out there.
Well, then maybe your reserve policy shouldn't be 15% as a floor. It
No.
sounds like you want to hire some floor.
No.
And I don't understand.
I think we just be reasonable, that's all.
So I have a question because it will actually be larger than 2.4% because of the meter fee increase, right?
No.
No.
It took that increase into consideration and pulled the kilowatt hour rate back down, so you net it out at 2.4.
Okay.
So same thing we
Okay,
talked
so
about.
we're-
That's how it's calculated.
Well, my feeling is that if we do the 2.4 now, we kind of know how it's going to go, right? If we don't do it, then next year, if we have to raise it that and then more on top of it, you know, it might be 10% next year. So I'm saying I think a little bit at a time is better than risking having to go high at one time.
Then what's the point of having a reserve policy? And what's the point of trying to get within that reserve policy with your forecast? If when you're in it, you're still going to raise rates. And you got 4 other ones we haven't talked about.
Right. So we were on the council that changed that to include the 15%. It was just straight 25. And if you remember the conversations that we had, a lot of it was because we were never at 25%. So we were always out of policy. And when you get bond, you go out for bonds and things, they look at, your policy. Are you meeting your policy? What's your plan to get back within policy? So if I remember correctly, we changed that to when we did drop below 25, we were still in policy, but we always tried to get back there over 1, 2, 3 years. So it was never to stay at 15. It was to stay within policy if we had to drop to 15.
It was for the bond ratings.
A lot of it, yeah.
We were out of policy for the bond ratings.
So you're still within policy, but I think the goal is still to get back to 25. It's 3 months worth of operating cost for the utility. And, people will talk about 6. You've heard them talk 6 a lot. It's kind of the standard, 6 months. So, at 25%, we're probably at the lower end of the policy for a lot of municipalities.
But the reserve is not your only option for when things go south.
No. It is to pay for operations.
It is to pay for operations.
Right, and that's why we pulled
That's
the
why we don't
power.
include it. Right.
We do include it.
No, that's why we don't include the power.
Yeah, yeah. So there are things we can't go bond and pay for. So you got to be able to pay for your operations and your debt because it doesn't stop. And that's where you'd have 3 months to do that if you went zero on the revenue side.
But your debt's already covered by your debt fee.
Right. Good point. So it really would be just operations.
Just operation, yeah.
So, and if you think about it, if you recall, we've got in all the utility ordinances now that if we take no action, it automatically goes up by MCI, which this year would have been 2.9.
Yeah,
Right.
we don't even have to talk about this technically.
Well, you do because that's higher than the 2.43.
I'm glad we are. Oh,
know.
yeah, I
So-
know.
so
yeah.
basically-
It does deviate from what we
basically,
were, but we should talk about it.
We had the conversation was, well, we're over the top of our policy. Let's not do that. So we
Right.
dropped it back down to just stick at the 25. So
That's right.
if you want to get somewhere in between there, I'd entertain that. I understand we got a lot of other things going up.
That's the concern. If it was just that one thing
get it.
sitting there,
I get it. I think, I get it. And then, the only risk we'd have is if things aren't as we forecast, would have to do a mid-year increase. I don't foresee that happening because you can run that reserve. We got $900,000 of reserve to play with. However, whatever causes us to draw that down, we'd have to put it in the rate next year to get it back up. So, I'd be okay with doing something less than that. but just be aware, we might have to, I wouldn't think it's likely based on your point of, I think we have a better handle on inflation and costs and things, but
Yeah, there was a time where,
we've seen tariffs and things pop around and it could get crazy, quickly.
Well, and I know that, you know, and people get tired of hearing this, but we're not the only municipality that's struggling with this. All cities are, increases in rates of water, sewer, electrical, I mean, everything. This is just, we're not on an island. Every municipality's been dealing with this. And, you know, they're like, I would imagine like us tonight. There's no really easy answers. We just take the best option and move forward.
I mean, it's everyone's frustration right now. I think the feeling that everything else is going up, but my wages aren't.
it.
Inflation's going up, but my wages aren't, and that's what I keep hearing, and that's, I mean, even experiencing. It's just, I feel like just good long conversation and being careful about how we decide these things is absolutely necessary. Scrutinize it, scrutinize everything.
I agree with that. It's good.
So another option, kind of hate to throw it out there.
Do it.
I mean, I absolutely get what you're saying, and it's absolutely true, and I'm with you. You know, so if we left the kilowatt hour rate where it is, at least for residential, I think the other would have to calculate where that would go up to pay their share of the debt. Just theoretically, rough numbers. If we left the kilowatt hour rate the same and just went with the 3-year average debt fee increase, that the debt bond number is like $60,000 of that increase. So getting to the end of the story there, if our forecast held true, we charged the same rate as we did last year, but we increased the bond debt fee to match, because remember, we just picked that $25 out of the air. It wasn't enough to support it. $27.88 would be the 3-year. If we left that in there, the reserve would be about $700K at the end of the year.
And that would be what percentage of the policy? Or what percentage of the whole fund? What would our reserve be? What percentage would?
70,
like 18%?
Close to 20.
Close to 20?
yeah.
not.
So we're
We're getting there.
I know. So you're kind of in the middle of your policy. You got some room if it drops faster than you thought, and if you understeered and you get more than you thought, you're back to policy. So I could support that, just to. And we're gonna get a lot of pushback from a lot of our financial advisors and on where we ended up the policy. And I don't think, Russ, here's an important question. When are we going out for bonds for the one we just approved?
So we're going out to bond, I mean, that would be
This year.
April timeframe.
Well, I think they used a prior year, so they would use where we finished up and not kind of where we're at this year.
I think that's correct.
I don't think it would impact that bond we just approved when it goes out for rating. So that was just,
I see what you're getting.
yeah, I mean, if they went, you know, and all of a sudden, if they saw, if we're well below our policy, it doesn't, they can't use mid-year because it does this, right? Real low at the beginning because they aren't buying a lot of electricity compared to, you know, July, August, September. So they look at the prior year and where were you with your fund policy? And that's kind of how they do your bond rating. So I just wanted to make sure we wouldn't impact that by doing something less than what's been proposed here.
Well, my next question is that, you know, and I mean, growing up in the adult world and having policies that we have lived by, manuals and things like that, if we ignore the policy, what's the good of having one? We can just do whatever we want to do. We just ignore whatever policy we want to. We don't like it. We don't live by the policy that the city has. We just ignore it. Why have it? I mean, and I think it's
Answer
our,
that, or you want me-
I'm sorry?
Let's wait for,
You have the policy because you're required by statute to have the policy.
Okay, but
right.
let's just ignore it.
So that's why there's a range. All right, that's why there's a range.
We're already there. We're already within the range.
Right. And so I think what that gives this council the ability to do, and by the way, there's really no penalty for not being within policy other than
Bond
bond
ratings.
rating. Right. So
It's just an appearance for me, that's all.
you should try to meet your policy. But I think that Corey's point is when other things that are out of our control are going up so quickly within the year, the things that we do have control of, if we can slow that down a little and stay within policy, I think that's, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that's kind of what you were saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so with all the conversation we have here right now, where are we deciding we want to land? What is it we want to land and where?
Well, I think we're still talking.
We're still talking about it.
No, that's all right, just as long as we're kind of
Yeah, no,
moving along.
and that's my big. I would almost even like to see this go 2 more weeks. That's just me. No, nothing says we have to do it within
Now,
2.
by ordinance, we have to have it for January rates, or February 1 rates.
Understood. Okay.
See, and I really just don't want to get in the habit of, if we can't, seems a little tough that we push it off the next time.
We can't.
Well, there's
I
nothing.
understand
There's
it.
nothing wrong with thinking.
I know,
through things.
I know.
If there's no deadline, which there is, but and if there is, there is. But if there's not a deadline, I'm not against pragmatism and thinking through. That's why we're elected. Scott, I like your alternative.
Which is, Scott?
I just suggested that, rather than just completely staying flat from last year, we would get the bond debt fee to where it needs to be. It was $25 wasn't quite enough when we set it in July or August. So we get it to what it needs to be, so it would cover the debt, the 3-year average, and then leave the rate where it currently is or was at the end of the year. And so that part wouldn't go up. So I don't have the numbers. I mean, so it would be a rate increase, of something less than 2.43.
When we raised the rates last year, we did that 5-year forecast down the road. Being at reserve at 20% in the second year we're ahead of the game.
I agree. That's part of the
We
reason.
are.
That's part of the reason I'm okay with getting back to that step function we were looking at.
I agree we should get our way to 25. I really do. That's an awful rapid hike up that mountain.
I don't disagree.
Comments?
I've talked enough.
I mean, I feel like we have an opportunity to, we all say we want to save money for our citizens. We all want to do this for the public and everything. And we have an opportunity to possibly do that here, like kind of what Corey was saying, where we don't on the trash rate, we don't on the water rate. And, we did hear from enough of our citizens at the town hall that, they right now they need a little break. And it's just, I'm glad we tabled the gas franchise. But then, we're still staring 4 of them down the barrel tonight. And, it's just, my only fear is if we didn't do anything tonight. And I understand we need to be in policy. I get that. But if being still within our policy and we're still just a little lower than that 15% helps our citizens, I think it's okay to break policy at that point to help them.
We're still within.
I know we're still within policy, but I'm saying and the mayor brings up a good point. I get it. We have a policy for a reason, and that's, I get that because I'm one of the biggest rule followers there is because it annoys my wife to death. But if we have an opportunity and we're not breaking the rule or the law to help them, I find that I don't know. I struggle with that. That's what I'm wrestling with right now. And how's that affect our citizens that are 65 and older on a fixed budget too? And my mom lives in a 55 and older community, so I hear from those people a lot. And in their cul-de-sac and area. So it's just, I mean, and this isn't a light decision. So I'm glad we are taking this time because, you know, I knew this was going to be a long meeting because it had five ordinances of rates. So I already kissed my kids goodnight and said, probably not going to be there, you know, when they go to bed, because I figured this was going to be a late one. Because I think I think we're doing a great job of discussing it and having a great back and forth. But it could take a while, and it's okay if it takes us a while here to hopefully make the right decision. And so let's just, I just hope we don't let's not push each other to pressure anyone into making a decision. And no one's doing it. I'm not saying anyone's doing it. I'm just saying, let's respect everyone to where if it takes, you know, someone needs to think on it for a couple minutes, let them have that time. Just because it is such a serious discussion and we're affecting everyone in the community. So, and I can tell you right now, I don't know where I would go. I'm wrestling right now in my mind. So
Can we circle back to electric? Is that okay?
yeah, I think that would be, because I mean the other ones unfortunately are more. Unfortunately, they're cut and dry because they're pass-throughs.
They're all within this agenda item, so we can
Yeah,
do whatever, where we want. So pick your poison for the next one.
Can we go to trash rates? Because I got some questions about trash rates.
Trash rates for.
After one, I
You know
was-
me and my trash rates.
Let's discuss ordinance 1533, trash rates.
Okay, so Russ, I kind of talked to you a little bit about it. So we signed a contract with them.
Yes.
And so what's the point of a contract when it goes up in the middle of the contract?
Or was this in the contract?
I think part of in the contract, we signed a 7-year contract back on November 7th, 2023, and it started on February 1st, 2024. And it runs through January 31st of 2031. So we're in the third year of the contract. So according to the contract, as far as modification of rates, it says, increases will be set by current disposal recycling rates and the Bureau of Labor Statistics and Consumer Price Index.
They have an MCI too.
So as some folks don't remember, our trash rate never changed for 10 years, and there wasn't a fuel surcharge and all of these different things. So for 10 years, we were actually way ahead of the 8 ball. So when it came time to renew this contract back in 2023, we put it out for bid, and we got one bid from what I remember. And at that meeting, I remember you wanting to table it to see if we could reach out to other folks, which we did.
Yeah, I recall people.
And we weren't successful in that regard. I think the reason that they were truly wanting a 7-year deal was because they were changing over the trash trucks and going with the bins themselves.
Yeah.
Was the main thought process on why they wanted a 7-year deal to cover their cost.
I understand the 7-year deal for them, and I understand that they have a cost index that they build in. But what did we get out of the contract? Just
We
We got brought back to the reality of where the rates have been.
okay.
We're playing in them.
But I mean, just buy. I mean, you could opt out of it at any time if you wanted to. If we got a better deal,
I don't know that we
Someone
can
came along?
necessarily.
like why are we in a contract?
I think the main reason for the contract is because they were going to switch over trash trucks and do the bins. And they had to have that for probably about.
They had to have.
Yeah, they had a capital.
Money coming in.
They had a capital expense with the. It was the cans. It wasn't the trucks. I mean, the trucks were.
We had zero leverage.
That was the problem.
I don't know how you fix that.
And what is the cost increase? What's going up?
So the cost increase for regular garbage rate would be 7.86%, and recycling would be 5.28%.
And it was?
As a percent increases.
Those are just percent increases of what it,
Ideas?
I mean, Scott's got we have no leverage. There's no other companies coming knocking on our door. We have to take it.
The only thing we could do is try to prepare for the next one down the road and develop other relationships and get other people interested. But I'm not so sure that they wouldn't be right in this ballpark anyway.
Maybe not. But when you have more competition, you do get a better deal usually.
Yeah, when you're only game in town, you can kind of do what you want.
I think it was sealed bids.
Makes me kind of want to go buy a trash truck.
It was a sealed bid, so they didn't know we didn't have competition.
so that was sealed bids.
That's true.
For sure. So,
But,
They also know their landscape.
correct, yeah.
Yeah.
but I mean, there was others that could have done it. Someone else does Wellsville and Gardner. And,
Yeah.
And who says they don't talk to each other?
Yeah,
No one said,
exactly.
oh, we're not bidding on it. I mean,
yeah, they shouldn't.
100%.
well, but
It happens all the time, though.
I mean, just like we had a project
Yeah.
out at the ball field, and we had to put it out to bid several times because we didn't like what we had, and we heard through the grapevine that they're kind of talking to each other, which
I just don't know I mean, there's really nothing we can do currently for the next 5 years.
And not to interrupt you, we've discussed having our own trash service. I'm telling you, that's something we do not want to get into.
no,
It is nothing but a hole
Yeah.
that you pour money into
yeah, no, I
constantly.
agree with
just-
with that.
Is it?
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is, believe me.
Corey's gonna open up a trash business.
Here we go.
I go down to the dump a lot, taking a bunch of scrap and stuff like that, and
So
I see there's independent trash trucks coming in and out of there all the time, way in and going in.
I see a business opportunity.
Yeah,
for me.
not me.
Corey the trash.
Hey,
so what would happen if we didn't accept their increase? It just, they would quit doing our trash?
yeah.
And probably sue us.
Yeah. We'd be
We'd
I'm
be
just asking.
No, I'm just saying, what do you know?
This has happened.
We'd be in breach.
They're gonna,
I mean, we'd be in breach of the contract. Yeah.
CPI
we
dash.
take our trash and take it to Corey's where he's gonna have a truck.
So, I mean, this is one where
You're a good
I
mechanic.
think we just got to start planning, laying the groundwork for the next one. And, I don't know if we've done a compare with rates in surrounding cities. I don't know if we're high or low. I do know we had the Sweetheart deal.
That's what's so hard about it.
And so,
It's higher than what we had by far, and it's so
because
reality.
they had to be losing so much money on our contract that they never even came back and asked for a rate increase. And you could put whatever you wanted out at the curb and it would be gone.
Yeah.
It was
We
awesome.
lost service
amazing.
and our rates went up.
Yeah.
But it was the same company, so I think they just got into more of, what's going on for our cities our size, and probably for the lack of competition too. But I don't know if there's anything we can do about it, unfortunately.
Well,
Discussion?
Anyone from the public have anything to say on this one?
Or trash truck.
they're a trash company out.
Nope, just trash on this one. It's just this ordinance.
So we're
When
ready
we
on
circle
this?
back to the electric rate, then you can come up if that's what you want to talk about. Well, every one, you can come up on every single one of them. Right now, for trash rate, you can come on up.
Yeah,
Yeah, just this ordinance, just Just trash.
trash, from what I understand.
It's your time to trash us, Jerry.
You got somebody.
I'm sure they can hear me.
Well, but it's for it's the
Citizens.
people listening.
Yeah, it's the people monitoring it.
We were all elected, even I was elected at one time to be on this council, and I had the same ideas that you're discussing right here this evening, is to try to make things work for everybody in the city. That's what you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is get everything going like it should be. The two things that I see on here that you don't have a lot to do with is the gas company putting on a franchise. There's not much you can do about that. That's stuck. That's not even a topic of discussion, I would see. The second part is the trash. Trash rates are going to go up because they have costs just like every other company does. And sooner or later, it's probably going to go up again before the 7 years are over. And what you're saying, Scott, about paying attention to what's going on at this point in time for preparing you for what comes up when this contract comes open again. And that's what I wanted to say. Remember, guys, you're working for all of us, not just for one individual or two individuals that may be on the council or may be friends or what they be. You got to make your decisions to affect everybody. And I was listening to you on water, and I know you said I can't talk about it.
Well, that's coming up next.
What do you want me to do, hold this up here and kiss it? You was talking about water, and I got terribly confused on what you said because I've been involved in that for 20 years. When you talk about rates, or water rates, you charge by the thousands of gallons of water that's used. And when you talk about meters, you have a meter charge, which is also a charge. So you have two charges in water, one for the water that you use by 1,000 gallons and one for your meter cost, which is what you pay to keep the service going for the meter and for the service that comes to it, the guys to be able to refurnish their supplies in the shop to be able to fix something, and that's what that's for. The sewer rate is something that we've never ever discussed, that we should have discussed about the same time we were discussing water. Do you know how old your sewer system is? You got any idea? And it's Dickey clay tile. A lot of it's Dickey clay tile. And some of it's just butted together Dickey clay tile. It's not even rubber gasketed. One of these days, that's going to have to change too. So you've got several things ahead of you, or ahead of some council in future time, that you're going to have to be prepared for. That's one of those things that you were talking about earlier. You got things going to come up one of these days that's unexpected that you don't even think about. Sewer you don't talk about. It's got to be done some of these days. And the water's got to be done one of these days. And all this stuff has to be done. And do it the best you can. To knock it down and make it cheaper this year and then have to double it up next year to pay for what you didn't do this year is not the right thing to do, in my opinion. And for the people out there who may be listening to this, I want to apologize to them too for taking up their time, and I apologize to you for taking up yours. Even though I know that you won't pay much attention to me because I'm 105 years old.
Thank you, Jerry.
Oh, you're not that old.
104, right?
Yeah.
On this trash rate, what's the longest we can sign a contract for?
Well, it's still the 7.
We're in year 3 of 7.
We're just,
We're just going into year 3 right currently.
Okay.
just for fun, is there a buyout clause in that? I think there is. I think I asked last time, 3 years ago.
Remember one.
I thought there was. Well, either way, we got it now.
I mean, we're not going to buy it out tonight, so it doesn't really,
Right.
I mean, he doesn't need to.
It's always nice to know what's out there, what your options are.
There's no word search on buy
Yeah.
in the
We
contract.
might want to also look at that contract to make sure that if we don't approve this, that it's not like automatically.
Yeah.
Well, we're not.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're gonna
no,
approve
we're,
it.
yeah.
We're gonna approve it. I think it's just,
I'm not seeing anything in there currently, but,
I'm happy to take a look at it and let you know.
please.
It's a-
Can this be my copy?
we tabling that one, come back to it?
No, we got a motion. Well, there's nothing else to do.
Well, she was gonna look at, I guess the
Oh, but it
buyout,
doesn't
like,
matter.
you're
I mean,
right.
but, I mean, for next meeting, I'd like, you know,
Yeah, it's gonna take me a minute, but if I find an answer
No,
quickly, I'll let you know.
we're gonna have to make a decision tonight on it.
yeah. I think it's nice, a nice idea to keep your options open. And if you do have, if there is a buyout in there and you see somebody else coming along for cheaper, you can't not give your citizens a better deal.
Yeah.
So table this one?
No,
No, I think
Nope.
we have to.
Oh, we're gonna vote on it. I'll motion it. I'll motion we approve the ordinance 1533.
I second that motion.
Okay, roll call.
yes.
Yes.
Peter?
Oh, yes.
Jay? Yes. Motion passed. Next one in line is water rates, another good topic for the night.
So I think put up that Baker Tilly one again. That's what we're used to seeing. So we showed at the forum. I don't know which number that is. Camera.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, Russ, you want to kind of
Yep.
give an overview of that?
So I'll kind of give an overview. This is ordinance 1534. So in this ordinance, it's showing that the water rate would increase by 4.5%. Basically, when we got the new charges from the city of Lawrence at the beginning of the year, it jumped right at 9%, is what their cost for the water jumped. So we worked with Baker Tilly on trying to, make this as soft as possible. The fund balance, to be at 15% of the fund balance, you really need to be at 402,000. With the 4.5% increase at the end of the year, if all the projections are correct from last year into this year, we would end the year out at 328,000. So we're still about $72,000 under policy, but at least we're making headway towards the 15%.
Yeah, water was in bad shape there for a while,
Yeah.
so that's pretty good.
How this ordinance is set up is that, as far as the debt service fee, this would be based on a 3-year average. So that part of the fee is actually going down in this ordinance compared to what the customers were used to seeing. But the water rate itself per 1,000 gallons had to increase.
And it increased to 15.
It increased to 1984 per 1,000 gallons.
And that, okay.
So the net, Corey, for the utility is still 4.5%.
It's still 4.5%.
Oh, we pulled out the debt fee.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Correct. We pulled out the debt fee
That was the
several
first,
years
that was
back.
the first utility to get
Years
us.
ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think we based it on the 3-year back then. So it's always been separate or pulled out, so. So yeah, I think Lawrence, our raw water wholesale went up, what, 9 something?
Yeah, it was like just a little over 9% as far as the raw cost as well as the treated cost. So it's broken down into 2 separate line items, treated and raw.
Well, then we're gonna go up the 9, whatever they're passed through, plus this 4 point.
No. So what we did is by doing that, you've got your regular cost, and then you've got your markup in it. This would be pretty much a straight where we're not really increasing any.
This is just a straight pass.
It's really a straight pass through on the 4.5.
And their raw water went up? The cost of their raw water? The
So-
water they
yeah.
get out of Clinton Lake?
So the raw water went up, and then also the treated.
How does that
cost.
go up?
Well, they're having to do a lot of work on the river and on Clinton Lake right now.
Oh, so the capital projects are.
Yeah,
costing us-
I mean,
got
yeah,
it. Okay, I was
Yeah,
not making any
they're doing
sense.
a lot of projects. Because I've reached out to some people on that one, and it's because of the projects they're having
Understood.
to do to get their
Got
water.
it.
So it's kind of confusing when you look at, so to your point, our actual per 1,000 gallon rate's going up a little over 11%. But the 3-year average bond debt payment's going down 35%. And so when you net that out, that's where you get to the 4.5 as the utility.
Got it. Makes sense.
And the only other thing I'll add here, we discussed it in the Budget and Finance Committee meeting. So this reserve is probably as important as any of them as we look to putting a plan together for the Lawrence pipeline upgrade. You know, to even be considered for grants, you have to at least have an engineering study done, if not some capital.
Correct.
So if we want to get serious about that this year, we got to go get a study done. And that's got to come out of the water fund. That's got to come out of your reserve. So the fact that we're below policy still projected in the year, and we still need to have we projected any expenses for that engineering study out of?
$1 million a mile.
No, I'm not the cost just to do the engineering
Oh,
to figure it out what it.
So with roughly the 11 to 12 miles of pipeline, their early quotes that I got was between 400,000 to 600,000
For the study.
for the study.
So
That's the whole design process.
I know. So
That's one of the reasons why that.
How much is in the reserve?
it's
Well,
not that.
at the beginning of this year, in the reserve was 266,000.
267.
Yeah, 267.
So I mean, we're gonna have to obviously figure out where we're gonna find that money if we want to do that study or do a partial study. I don't know if we can break it up.
So there's several
2 years
grants
or-
that are potentially possible that we're working on those once
That would help pay for
once
the
they come
study.
out, and that we could actually help fund the study. It's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna fund it 100%, but even if it would do 50%, it will tremendously help our citizens.
If you know you're going to do the project anyway, you could loan the project the money, and then when you bond it, pay it back.
Correct.
That would be one way to do it.
We'd have to bring it, loan it. I mean, you could turn off the franchise fee, go in the general. I mean, we've seen that happen before, right? It's not gonna be a big number, but then it would have to come out of some other reserve fund.
And then we're banking on doing the project.
You would have to know you don't,
I mean,
yeah.
Well, yeah, or
We wouldn't want to loan the money if we don't
it'd be
know
a
we're
sunk
doing
cost.
the project.
Yeah, you gotta be committed to it. Yep.
And then, I mean, as much as we all want to do it this year, I mean, may not be able to do it before, if we loan that money. I mean, I like the idea. Like I said, I praise everyone that thinks outside the box on all these things, but I don't know if loaning the money, if we don't,
It's just
I know,
it's
I
just
know.
a phrasing. What you're doing is you're funding it ahead of time, and then you pull it from wherever. You'd have to use the reserve, and the reserve would have to get to what it costs.
Correct.
and then that would drain the reserve.
The design process
just on-
itself is, with talking with different individuals, that's 6 to 8 months, potentially 10 months because of, when you have 11 to 12 miles and they're going in there and they're surveying everything and trying to figure out what utilities. So, we might be on one side of the road now, but we probably need to get on the other side if there's a potential, if there's gas in there or vice, there's a whole bunch of, or if it's solid rock, because we go up a lot of hills and down a lot of hills, and down 1600 road is solid rock in places.
I need to clarify what I was saying. So, what I was getting at was how close can the study be up to the point where you actually bond the project? Because what I'm talking about wouldn't be draining the reserve to zero. You would be just functionally, just on paper, it would just.
We really need to get some true numbers. That would be, because I'd hate to go one way or another with it, but we really need some true numbers, and hopefully at the end of this month or the first part of next month when those grants come out, and we apply for, we see who all applied and see where we fit in the mix. If we do get any funding, then we'll have a lot better idea.
Yeah.
I don't think that as far as replacing the water line this year, that's not going to happen. The main goal would be is potentially to get the design process started, and not necessarily, I don't know that we could get it completed this year, but at least we're moving the ball and to see where that cost ends up, because we could look at it to where if we could only doing half of it. Pick the worst half of it or the worst quarter of it, and get that repaired, and then kind of see how that looks. Or if we just, do it all at once.
But don't you need a pretty reliable number to plug into any grants you're going to get to pay for the
So that's
construction?
that's the other issue is that really truly with the design process, you're going to have it completely designed. Now at the end of the day, you can decide to do like the 25 or 50% of it, but you got to have that in place.
Surely we're not the first community who couldn't cough up $600 for a design in this scenario. Like, there's got to be some way to fund it ahead of time and then pay it back with a bond.
I think there's ways. I'd have to visit with Ben with Baker Tilly, and I think there's some ways we could do that.
What are the bonds? It was just like we did with the substation where we did a pre-bond,
Temporary.
a temporary bond.
temporary bond.
So could you issue a temporary bond a little further in advance, and then
Potentially, yes.
so we got some things to think about.
So what's the favorable situation in your opinion?
The favorable, with the 4.5%, we're still, like I said, we're still going to be underneath our fund balance, but at least we're making headway to get within policy. And that way you're not doing it necessarily all at once, but you're at least you're taking positive steps so that when and if we do go out to bond, it's showing, it's showing good faith that we're moving in that direction.
Again, that's one of those things I think no one wants an increase, but it's kind of a straight pass through, not through Lawrence. And I think we just need to show, especially with this pipeline, which you and I've discussed, Jay, on a couple separate occasions, we need to look at it. We need to go and start going. It's just to a point, and I don't know exactly what that is, but I think we need to start moving forward with it. We just have no other choice. And that to me, the water rate's a go, but it's in the council's hands.
We need to keep it on the agenda consistently, so that, it doesn't
Yeah, I agree.
skip a couple months. We need to have a plan, talk about creative ways to fund it, figure out where the grant situation. There's a lot of work that have to go into just trying to get started. But if we keep it on the agenda, as old business, even if there's no update, it's on there.
I guess I have a question. I'm guessing I'm probably not the only one thinking it. If I'm thinking it, someone in the community probably is. Why were we so worried about the electrical rate in July, getting that very healthy when we're not? Why are we not so worried about this rate? Like, what's the difference?
I was waiting for you to say it, Jay.
Just asking.
I think it's just, in my opinion, it's just a cumulative, it's a 4.5% increase. And, we could always do more, probably need to do more, but you can, again, once we know what our numbers are that we're shooting for, we don't know if 600,000, we don't know if our share is not going to be 200,000. It's just going to delay what you have to do next year and next year. But not knowing what you really need would be guessing. And if we can keep it as low as possible as everything's going up, then we'll have some concrete numbers, and we can go back and say we should have raised it another couple percent. But we'd just be guessing on what we need. So, yeah, if you want to raise it higher to get to the policy.
No, I was just asking. I'm not here to raise the water rate. I'm just asking why there was such an importance on one rate and not the other. That's all I was.
Yeah.
I didn't. That's all. Like,
I think it might be a little psychological because the electric rate was such a big hit last year that we're really focused on that one. That I think it's we're more sensitive to. I think that's what maybe.
And we're in better shape on that one.
yeah.
And that's, to me, is the difference, is we came out at the end of the last year in good shape on there, so we can be a little aggressive this year and not get really out of shape on it. The water is like, how much do you want to claw back in a single year? So.
And then I think another thing we need, I mean, eventually talk about it, and obviously we can't until we get the design and better numbers, but I mean, the water line expert that I've been talking to says it's probably gonna be more like 20 to 24 million
Oh, yeah,
for that.
Yep.
I bet, yeah, every bit of that probably.
So, I mean, I think our $1 million a mile is probably not there. I mean, I think, so,
Well, it stinks to us to go out for RFPs. Don't let everyone know that we're comfortable with that.
Good idea.
Just so the public knows, we are looking at every possible option that we have as far as water lines goes. We're not just, because we've always used Lawrence, we're just going to continue to do so. We're looking at every feasible option out there. And so far, Lawrence is still looking like the best choice, but that doesn't mean that it's permanently that way.
Good point.
but I mean, even if we went another route, though, that's still $8 to
same
$10
cost per
million
mile.
Yeah.
we'd have to come up with.
Yes.
I mean,
Well, compared to
yeah.
2025, it's still.
But then, yeah, but we'd still be in the same, if we don't fix the water line, we'd still be in this, if we just went to one other water source, we'd still be in the same boat where one entity has us over, you know, the top and can do whatever they want with us.
Right.
So, in a perfect
Well,
world, we'd have two sources, but that's not feasible.
Then you'd have
What's
to build a new
feasible?
one and fix your old one, which
Yeah,
couldn't afford that for sure.
Right.
yeah.
I know it's a long meeting already, but real quick, where are we at with the conversation about reversing the path to Edgerton?
I'm sorry?
Reversing the flow to Edgerton.
Oh, okay.
We're the pass through for them.
So, you know, that was looked at several years back. You know, I think that the conversation, my understanding, stopped when they were going to have to upgrade their plant part, and it was at 6 million to upgrade their plant, as well as I don't, you know, the other question is that with their water is if they can get enough water to us as well, with us upgrading their line, if they have enough that would be able to support us for years to come.
What rural water district is that?
I am not,
Johnson County.
I want to say it's like Johnson County 7,
Do they get theirs out of
Hillsdale.
like Hillsdale.
Yeah.
So, and then there's certain allocations that have already been set, and I don't know that there's enough for what we would truly need. I think we could get a percentage of what we consume here, but I don't think we would get a full 100%. But I have not been able to get clarification on that from them yet.
Does Hillsdale dam the Meridazine? What is that dam? What river goes through there?
I'm not for sure.
I mean, there's a lot of hurdles, according to Rob. I mean, we don't have an allocation for Hillsdale, you know, so they'd have to give up,
Right.
you know, and so they're supporting Gardner and Edgerton and all these Johnson County growing communities. So, to Russ's point, you know, whether they're going to give us what we need plus our growth, you know, we're going to be the bottom of the bottom of the pecking order there, as it probably should be, as they're a Johnson County entity and they're sending it to Douglas County. So there's some barriers that maybe just be insurmountable. Like now, you know, our growth projections we can't support. I think our initial conversation was emergency, where it'd be a certain amount
Correct.
for a short period of time, but to get it for all we need on a daily basis,
Yeah.
that's a big number, and that's a big plant
order.
increase for them. So then it starts getting up into some big numbers as well.
We would probably have to help pay for their new infrastructure.
I guarantee you, they would require that, and that's, you know, it may be a little bit more than it might be infrastructure that they use for their other customers too, but they're going to use us
Yeah.
to fund at least our share, if not more. That's kind of how it works. So, but I think we're still talking just to try to see if there's any other. I mean,
yeah.
water's like the cable monopoly back when it was a monopoly. I mean, you have one source, and that's why it's regulated to a degree, to where, you know, they can't just cut us off, and they can't. I don't think they can raise their rates by a certain percent, you know, unjustifiably amount above what they're, first of all, charging their other customers, and second of all, based on their cost increases. So,
And we've also talked about a second source of water. Talked to several different rural water districts, and that hasn't come to fruition yet, so.
Yeah, they're big conversations.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Just the microphone.
Hold on, we gotta have the
We
microphone.
gotta have the mic.
people on the
I
internet
know-
watching.
I know you don't want it, but everyone at home wants to hear what you have to say.
Panic, we wound up down there we wound up on 56 Highway on the west side of Edgerton. We run a 6-inch line down there and dead ended it in a pasture. The purpose for that is to be able to go across the road because we have an 8-inch main, I think, on the other side of that road. And at that time, I talked to Scott, who's the manager over there, if we could hook up because at that time I was on the council. And he said, yeah, he'd work with us. Since that period of time, I think they have taken over 2 water districts and hooked into Johnson 1 or Water 1, which is a big producer of rural water that goes out into the country. It might not be, do you know anything about that, Russ?
I know a little bit about it, yes.
But to hook up, to go across the road and hook up to our line that goes to Edgerton, then we could backfeed it. We'd have to feed it to Wellsville because that's where our line goes to, but then we'd still have water coming this way. And it would, I think we could get quite a bit if it's like like I think it is. And it's not a bad place to look at. Also, when I run the water line for Douglas 5 from the river over by your door, clear over to Overbrook, I crossed your line. And at that time, the waterman that came out there said, no, Baldwin didn't want anything to do with that. The reason, you're talking about raw water a while ago, the reason you don't have any raw water in Clinton Lake is because the city of Baldwin had an accumulation, a certain amount of thousands of gallons or millions of gallons in the lake for their use.
It was working.
Just hold it closer to your mouth.
For their use, for City of Baldwin's use. The council at that time, and I don't remember who it was. Glenn, do you remember who it was that canceled that contract? But anyhow, that contract was canceled. So you lost your water supply in the city. That's why you're paying for raw water and having it treated, because if it wasn't for that, the other way, you would have had to pay the state for for storing your water, and then you would have paid Lawrence for treating.
Right.
But the council at that time did away with that, so you don't have it anymore. But I don't think it would hurt for you somebody to check with Johnson County again and see if there was a connection there that you could make. You could make a connection there with valves in it so that you could still service Edgerton on our line. And with a meter, it'd be metered coming out of Johnson County, you'd serve Edgerton and you could still serve Wellsville. And it would give you the water going both ways. And now I'm going to shut up and go home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your insight, Jerry.
Yeah, which part were you thinking of?
I didn't want. That's what I thought they were saying. You said you were going to shut up and go home, and said thank you.
Oh, no. All the above.
No,
I was with you, Scott.
We appreciate your insight, Jerry.
Yes, we do.
So we appreciate your insight. Mic drop. He's out.
So where we at with the water rates?
Me personally, I think we definitely need this one. I think we need wastewater also, but water rates, I'm all for it. But
Make a motion.
okay. I motion to approve the increase of water rates as shown in ordinance, 1534.
Do I have a second?
Second.
This time I'm going to start on my right. Jay,
Nay.
Peter,
Yay.
Corey,
We gotta raise them.
Scott?
Yes.
Julie? Passed. Next one is ordinance 1535, the sewer rates. We're covering it all tonight.
All right, ordinance 1535 is the sewer rate. As you see in the packet, we are projecting with Baker Tilly is a 8.15% increase. As you see, our fund balance at 15% is $226,000. At the beginning of this year, we had $59,659 as beginning cash. With this 8.15%, if everything stays the same as it did last year, we would end the year at 76,000. So we're still a ways away from getting to the fund balance of 15%. Kind of with how we showed it on this sheet is that, doing the 8.15% this year, and then next year, another almost 8%. Basically, it would take us 3 years to get to where our fund balance where we would be within policy.
Discussion? Anybody?
So why wasn't there a rate increase in the last, what was the reason? Just trying to help the community, or, it just wasn't that big of a need, or?
If I remember right, if you look at the ending cash balance of 24, it was within policy. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, Russ, but then I think we had, if you look at the expense line, personnel services, we had a pretty good jump there where we've finally got fully staffed. And that's what drove a $200,000, deficit for that year. So we were on track, and then, that blip hit us and we got to build it back up. So we weren't sitting on enough to cover that. And I think there's more in there than just a person, or just one person.
Yeah, it was getting fully staffed back up. We had to hire 2 people that we had put on hold for a while, and doing the preventative maintenance on the sewer lines in town, with jetting the lines and all that kind of stuff. It got to the point to where we were falling way too far behind, and we had to get to a point where we had to fill those slots. We're still behind in that regards. The personnel services was just a little bit over 100,000, but then we also had some other expenses that figured in there, because we had one alleyway that we had to replace the sewer line between 9th and 10th Street. That pretty much everything from downtown flowed through that alleyway, and we had a partially collapsed. And it was the old clay tile. We were having to go over there twice a week and jet it out because it kept clogging up. And it was to the point that if we didn't do something, then we were going to have to shut down the downtown, and we can't really do that.
This is a fund that I don't think we have a capital. We got a little bit of capital outlay in there. Less expense line. I'm not sure we had any.
I don't think we had any capital.
The problem is we just haven't, through the budget process, haven't prioritized capital for that. And so what happens is it comes right out of the reserve. And so we'll get to have that conversation again. It's like, okay. And the directors bring in, here's what I see needing to have happen, personnel increases, areas that prioritize areas that need to be fixed in an appropriate cost. And then that's how the budget gets allocated to them. So I think it's one of those where we just kept riding on, pushing on another year, and like, boom, we need to have it done. So we pulled it out of reserve. Now we got to build it back. and/or allocate more to capital for that utility. So you never get it right.
Other discussion? Jay, you're thinking about something, I can tell.
Well, I am. So I was just thinking, like you said, we hired two new people, which I agree. I mean, we need. I'm not saying that, but so I'm just thinking about our other utilities and public works. I know like public works is down 3 maintenance workers right now, and then the electrical's probably working 2 to 3 guys down as well. I mean, what happens to the fund for the just general public works department and the electrical fund when, if we were to truly get to, you know, hiring, get it back up to full staff? Because I mean, our guys are great, but some of them are getting close to retirement age, and we need to get guys in here to train so we have reliable replacements for when our older workers are ready to go enjoy retirement. And you know, and because it feels like some of them are maybe sticking on because they don't feel like we have the capability to move on without them right now, and they're being very nice about it. And I think we have one of the best public works departments with our water, sewer, all of them are great. It's like, I understand we're dealing with this, and that's why I was thinking if I should bring it up, but it's like, I mean, we're pretty understaffed right now, and we're asking all our city workers, even in the office, these ladies do a great job, but I think we're asking our people to do a lot. And eventually I would like us to get fully staffed, but I understand that means we got to find more money, and that's the tricky part. So,
I mean, it would help me. I'm not real up to speed on what fully staffed looks like for each utility. I mean, that'd be some useful information to have if, you know, if we're at 5, we need 7, just to know per utility what their target is, and then we could try to plan how we're going to get there.
I know the public works guys are currently down 3 people.
I don't think they've ever been fully staffed since I've been on the council.
Okay, yeah. And then I know the electrical guys, I mean, roughly, that's where I got my number, was from mine and Julie's meetings with the Public Works Department, that they're probably down 2 to 3 guys on the electrical, so, but.
And part of that is that it's hard to find somebody that,
Yeah, and they're not hiring, right? They don't want to hire because they know that affects their budget, and they're just being very diligent with what they're doing. I mean, they're being very responsible, but they're probably doing more work than what they should. And I know all of us do it. I mean, everyone deals with that in life. But just like if they come to us and say, hey, we need this, and then I just don't want any of our other reserve funds to plummet if that comes up. That's all I was thinking about.
Yeah, I mean,
I just didn't know if I should bring it up or.
No, I think it's a good point. I think it'd be interesting, you know, if, you know, they had never been fully staffed, so they never had the budget for it. But, you know, I mean, if you lose somebody that's in the budget, so it's not going to negatively, but if they've been down 3 people for 3 years, then that is going to be a budget increase.
I think that's.
So it'd be nice to know, you know, are these, how long have these gaps been in there?
We can definitely ask at the next public.
It'd be great
Works
to
meeting.
have, then we can kind of start talking. And then when they come when they talk at the budget meetings, we can talk to where they're at and then
Make a plan.
and then how much would it, you know, how much is it going to be per each one of those staff positions in, you know, this year, next year, whatever. And to your point, I think when you find them, you almost have to grab them.
you do.
And that's where you might have to eat the reserve a little bit because they're available and you can't wait. So you need to bring them on and pay for it out of the reserve and then build the reserve back up. So if you had a plan, we could probably figure it out a little bit better, or try to, at least talk to it better.
And part of the problem too is that everybody's looking for people in public works, and you know, the people are going to go where they get the most money. So that's usually a bigger city all of that figures into it. But I'll find out that information.
Well, that's where it falls on us to make it a great place to work, so they don't want to leave.
All right, I'll move that unless there's more discussion on sewer.
Does anybody from the public, sorry, does anybody from the public have any comment on the sewage? Or, yes, sewer.
No one? Okay.
Anybody here? All right, I'll move we pass ordinance 1535 as presented.
Do I have a second?
A second.
We'll start with my left. Julie? Scott?
Yes.
Corey?
Yay.
Peter?
Yes.
Jay?
No.
Motion passed. And we're gonna circle back around to electrical.
How does everyone feel about Scott's second proposal?
Me personally, if I was gonna say yes to any of them, especially after, you know, these other increases, it would be only that one, and it would just be, do we have an idea of what that would hit the normal, like a regular residential house at, or no? Okay.
I mean, it's gonna hit them at
The exact same.
$2.88 a month.
Yeah.
If we don't raise the other rate,
Or not the franchise fee, the reserve,
that's what it would hit them at.
or the debt fee.
But $2.88.
What's what? I mean, that's about 10%, 11% of just the bond debt fee. So that piece would go up. But I haven't figured out.
But the kilowatt hours would go up or no?
No, I would say the same, the rate. So the net of that is probably gonna be somewhere 1% or less than 1% for the utility. Instead of 2.4, I'm guessing it's somewhere less than 1%.
And you said it'd be how much a month? About $2?
$2, it'd be $2 and
And wouldn't-
$2.88.
Wasn't the other one only going to be like 44 cents?
Be $2.46. So it's 42 cents more for the 3-year average to smooth out the bond increase and decreases. Which would then be in line with what we're doing for water. And then we haven't pulled out the sewer bond debt from the rate yet, so because we actually don't have room on the bill to do it, so that bond, that's baked into the rate, so we're paying for that, so we don't have to figure that one out yet, so. I would support the 3-year, if nothing else, gets us in line with our other utility.
And Mayor, is that what you would want? The 3-year?
I'd prefer the 3-year, just a steady. You know, again, it's like I said, this is not, you know, I'm one of those people on a fixed income. I understand how that is. I know within our public committee forum we had here, we had a couple of people explain about the rates increasing, and just to make it clear, we did research those, and there were some other factors there that caused that rate to increase.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, but I just say slow and steady. That's my preference, but it's,
Well, your opinion matters, though.
yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Just because you don't have a vote doesn't mean
Yeah,
you
thanks.
still get to voice what you want.
Tell my wife that.
That's a different argument.
Yeah.
For all of us.
Russ, I think the complicated part here is that, don't look at me like
I
that.
know. I already know the complicated part of this.
You looked at me like,
Yeah.
Because we have to make a decision tonight.
yeah, we do,
That ordinance written.
we do. So,
We can make.
we're gonna amend
do
it.
it and
We
then
we
amend
amend it. Now we just amend the one that's presented to whatever we want it to be. So it's,
You just make a condition on the changes. Contingent on the changes, I mean.
well, here's the issue. The residents only pay 70% of the bond debt fee. If we don't raise, so the demand people pay their 30% through their increased rate. If we don't increase their rate at all, they're not paying any of that any more of that 30%. So like I said, if the net effect is really a 1% per the utility, they ought to get a 1% increase. Correct. For their rates, for the demand customers would go up 1%, which would support their share of the
That's understandable.
I
Yeah,
just don't know.
I didn't think about that.
I just don't know if it's 1%.
I just wouldn't want it all to go to the residents.
No, it wouldn't. It'd just be, it wouldn't. What would happen is when we paid the debt, our reserve would be even lower because we didn't get the extra amount in from the demand customers.
Demand customers like, so the school, the baker, businesses, my business, I mean, those are demand.
Large users,
Yeah, and they don't have a debt fee. It's baked in. It's already
baked into the rate. Their 30% is baked into the rate, yeah. We can use 1%, or you can give me a minute, try to figure out something better. Shouldn't be that hard. I mean, I'm okay with 1%. It might be high, might be low, but it's probably gonna be pretty close. Just,
I think it'd be right.
And at the end of the year, that would probably put us closer to the 700,000 in the reserve.
it will, yeah.
That was-
So, yeah.
If we came in, it was gonna be 2.43 across the board, resident and demand, correct? Increase for both?
Yeah, the whole utility, I mean, net up into
So
that,
it's still, this is still a better scenario for the demand customers
yeah.
as well.
Correct, yes.
I mean, theoretically, their rates stand relatively flat, and they're paying for the actual debt, just like the residents are, that we hadn't put in there before, so. I don't think we're oversteering too much if it's at 1.
Because yeah, if we do the true, debt service fee for the residentials at 27.88, and that's the 3-year, that's figuring on the 3-year average, and then we can, that's already baked into the demand customer rate, but then we could figure what the 1%, just saying it was only 1% from there, and we could figure out the.
Well, yeah, the ordinance would raise.
Just have to-
Yeah, we just have to get the numbers put into the ordinance.
So, for like those individuals sitting at home possibly falling out, what does this all mean? Okay, because they're gonna be sitting there wondering, what are they talking about, and what's gonna be the
We're
final?
getting there, we're getting there.
Yeah, no, Jay asked it, and Scott had said that it would be about for the $2 increase,
Yeah. What do you say?
288
$288
a month,
a month.
25 to 2788.
Yeah, there it is. So that's
That would be it.
unless you're a demand customer, which
That's with the 3-year average.
Yes.
3-year average.
And the rate would be 1411
14.11 is what I'm thinking.
is what it's currently at. It would stay there instead of going to 1434.
And we can still get what we need to get as far as getting a little bit more healthy and.
That'll put us at 20%,
Yeah. It'd be forecast is to put us at 20% of our policy.
Okay.
which is way ahead of where we thought we'd be.
Agreed. 2788. It's currently in option 2.
It's in option 2, it's 27.88.
We'll amend option 2,
So option 1, where I think we've all pretty much said that's
1
not.
year, yeah.
So we're only talking about option 2 here, just so everyone at home and all of us are on the same page. Okay.
So Russ, we could probably pass it, we could probably do the calculation, but we could probably pass the ordinance with the percentage increase.
Yeah, I think.
And then we could you could put that in there and put the actual hard number into it. Yeah. You put them both in there. Does that work?
Yep.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Any other discussion?
Anybody from the public?
Help me understand, we receive electricity from, is it
Everywhere.
everywhere?
We have multiple contracts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do we already know that we're locked in with those rates before I mean, they're not going to do any surprises on us?
Well, they pass through their increases just the same way that we do with the municipal cost index. So if they can pass on their increases. Yeah, PCI, PCA, power cost adjustment. So even though you're locked into a rate, they still can pass on their PCA. Think about Winter Storm Uri is a really good example. When that all went down and everyone's rates still, regardless of what your contract was, you still had to pay, the PCA still came through. It still ends up there. That's what I mean. That's why we've had these conversations in the past.
Right,
Like,
'cause I
well,
just
what's the
didn't
point of
want
these
them to
contracts?
surprise you. You're working so hard at trying to figure just, little percentages, and then boom, they could come out of left field and say,
But the bigger companies, so like GRDA is a really good example. So the Grand River Dam Authority down in Oklahoma, they're a little bit protected because they buy stock in the futures. So even when the rates do go up, they're not going to go up. If you're in a contract, you're a little bit safer in a contract from a massive rate increase than if you were buying, say, from the open market and you were just exposed to whatever it cost.
right.
Did I say that right, Scott?
You did.
So we don't necessarily, we're not subjected to open market roller coastering?
We buy a little bit off. Scott, go ahead.
You got it.
Okay,
We buy a little bit from the open market.
I think we're 25%.
25%?
Which, if you take over the last 20 years, beat our contracts.
Okay.
You got to go out a long stretch
Right,
to see
right,
it.
right. But which segues into my next question. If this mayor and council, are you looking at any renewable energy options to have some security down the road? Or is this just going to be an annual hair pulling? Like, what do we do? I mean, that's hard on you guys. I mean,
I'll speak for myself. I've been vocal about the 5 megawatt solar grid that I'd still like to see get done. But there's a lot of land issues there, especially.
Sure. So,
The big one is the federal government got rid of all their subsidies.
That's the big one.
So
but I
We had
think
to do it
that's
this
still
small window at the end of
available,
last year.
correct?
now,
Well, but we were too late in the game to get into that.
So they got to come up
Because I
with
think
subsidies.
did it
to get
just,
back in the game.
yeah.
we couldn't get anybody to even quote us on a large solar after that because it just wasn't feasible.
And we didn't.
Unless the
have
project
any
was
place-
already,
And we didn't have the land secured to do it.
Yeah, we didn't have any place to put it.
Gotcha. So, unless the federal government comes out with another incentive,
Yeah.
that option's dead in the water then?
As far as I'm concerned, it is.
I don't think any of our portfolio has any more coal in it, if I'm right. I think we're all pretty much green the whole through and through. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a little bit of it.
There is,
Maybe just a little
there's
bit.
got to be a
there's a
little.
little bit of gold.
I remember we were almost about, there was one contract that came off out west somewhere that I think once that came off, we were like, oh, geez, we don't have any coal. And the renewables are getting cheaper.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, there's that to look forward to.
Because
I
we
know,
did,
that's why I'm
'cause
like,
bef-
oh,
right
get
before
in
we
there.
got on, right before I got on council, they did approve the Pratt solar project that they
And I do
got.
remember
Yeah,
hearing
so
that.
they were looking at renewables.
Good.
It's just, I don't know if it's in our best interest to have our own renewable, like,
Right,
because,
right.
and then, because like they said, the land and everything, and then we still got, I
Right.
know we don't want to talk about it anymore, but we
We'll
still
be here
have
another
that-
hour and a half, because I
no,
disagree with you.
we still have that water line. I mean, that's before we were to do any renewable project, in my opinion. I know other people will disagree. But we got to go for that water line before we were to do it, in my opinion.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's not a bad idea. It's just priority. And
Oh, gosh.
I mean,
I thank you very much for, just kind of helping me understand, and you don't have an easy task, that's for sure. Thank you.
Thank you for the
Thank you,
question.
Tina.
Mr. Mayor, Roach here, thank you. Glenn Rod, 605 Heritage Drive. Thanks for bringing up the renewable projects. Solar in particular. The tax credits I think you're talking about are still available from the federal government. What went away at the end of '25 is the tax credits for your personal vehicle or your home. The industrial tax credits are still out there. You have to start your project by the middle of 26 or end it at the end of 27. You can still get 40 to 60% of that tax credit still available. You need the land, you need the money, of course, and all that good stuff. But those tax credits are still out there. It was embedded in that big, beautiful bill, if you remember what that's called. Still in there. That's still survived. The rest of the tax credits are gone. The other question is, you do already have a renewable project. You got a 1 megawatt project. That is coming up and could be purchased. Is there any thought, discussion of actually purchasing the 1 megawatt power? Because I believe in year 7, there was a set project or a set price for that in that contract. So that with any other renewable, you do have wind projects, hydro and whatever. So you do have a lot of renewables in your mix, and you could add more. And I think the key, of course, as you already mentioned, is finding the land to do that. So you got a lot of different options. You don't have a lot of cash available right now. But those, and I would just make you aware, those tax credits are still out there and they're still available, so the projects can't be done. And that would be a great benefit for the city to stabilize your cost. Otherwise, you're going to be faced with what Tina said, you're raising your rates almost every year as you go forward. So anyway, just keep that in mind. That door is still open. You just got to find the right situation for that to happen. So anyway, that's the only comment I got for you.
Thank you
Thanks,
for the
Glenn.
insight.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
And I might follow up with that, the question he had, if I could. And the 1 megawatt solar that we have now has had a lot of problems, like they're replacing all the inverters right now. And so,
Again?
well, still.
Oh.
So I'm not sure that we're thinking about purchasing it, but that's still in discussion. But that's what we talked about at our meeting, so.
Very good.
I mean, I'm sure you guys are talking about it in your committee. Probably ought to put it on the agenda for budget and finance, just look at it again. Because is that a one-time year 7, or
No, I don't
is it
think
every year after that?
I think
Just a declining value that you'd pay or whatever, okay. We can revisit it, but I think the last conversations we had last year were, it looked like, just based on the history of that technology that they installed, they were probably upside down on their maintenance costs with a contract, just the amount of stuff they had to fix. And so it's like buying a used car that's had a lot of problems to you. But if they fixed it all and put in new inverters, that might change the whole equation.
If
So
they stay fixed, yeah.
Well, it's been a while since we talked about it, but I will say one more real quick thing on that, because it did get brought up organically, and appreciate you saying it. But the benefit, they say what you lose 0.5% of efficiency in your system a year. So if you did a 20-year bond on a 5 megawatt system, that was the number that we kind of kept tossing around, 5 megawatt, and that would be about 70-80% of what we average require. After 20 years, you're still at 90% efficiency. The bond's paid off. You do not have any transmission fees. You don't have any company raising rates on you. You're completely autonomous. You find a way to do it. And we'd had drawn that up, and it was presented. You presented it. You drawn it up, and it was going to be the same price as if we had just kept renewing contracts. And that's why I didn't want that 1 megawatt of Prax. I thought it was going to be in our way. But it ended up still being a pretty good deal, I think.
I think the big hurdle is, where do you put it?
Yeah.
And we struggle with that. Talked about City Lake, and that's kind of off the table. And
No.
the other option went away.
Well, I think where we're getting confused is I think it wasn't that the credits went away. I think we had counted on the credits applying toward land acquisition, and they ended up not being. And that was the problem. And so I don't think the credits went away. Maybe we knew that I think the language got twisted up, and that we just assumed that the credits went away. But really, it was that the land was no longer applicable for the. So
And then the only other argument, I mean, I would say about that is, you know, when we had the town hall in July, a lot of them were saying, well, why are we in the electric business? Why are we doing this? And then so, I mean,
I can answer that.
well, I know, but I mean, some of them were wanting us to sell the Evergy and get out of the electric business altogether.
Bad call.
I'm not saying, I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying a lot of our citizens already had reservations about being in the electric business, and then we're gonna do our own, 5 megawatt. I don't know how that would set with our,
Well, it'd be real easy. We would explain to them why we benefit so much from owning.
yeah, but the older generation wouldn't see any of that benefit after the 20 years. I mean, and I think that's where we'd get a lot of pushback on that. I mean, if you're a younger person, yeah, I mean, we would, but if you're already 65 or 70, I mean, you're probably not seeing any of those benefits from that once they all fall off. That's all. I mean,
Well, yeah,
just something to think about.
you get pushback on things, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't do them because you're going to get pushback. I mean, if it's the right thing to do, you should do it.
I understand you got to stand your ground on something, but I'm just saying, we are an older community as of now. I mean, we got to take that into consideration if we were to, and I know that's not what we're here tonight to do, but I'm just saying, since it was all brought up, it would just be.
I love when it gets brought up. I like talking about this stuff.
I agree. I think that, should be exploring it. But right now, I think that's another night for another conversation because we're still hanging up on this electric rate, but I appreciate it. So what do we,
I'll make a motion if we're done discussing electric.
I can be.
I'm sorry?
I said I can be. He looked at me, so I just assume he's talking to me.
Don't look at Corey.
Okay, so now I start with Jay.
No, we haven't made a motion.
Second, that's what I'm looking for, a second.
A second. I haven't made a motion yet.
Oh, I thought you made a motion.
I was just checking with Corey if we were moving on. I'm just trying to figure out how to amend this. So I move that we pass ordinance number 1532 with the following amendments. The residential rates would be 0.1411 per kilowatt hour. I need to read them all. Commercial, heavy commercial, industrial, public school, university rates would all their per kilowatt hour and their demand rates would increase by 1%. And then the remaining residential rates, city, church, sorority, clubhouse sorority and fraternity rates would match the residential at 0.1411 per kilowatt hour. Does that cover it, Russ?
With it now, you also need to say the debt, the monthly
Oh.
debt service fee, what that
So,
means.
well, it's already in there. It's already in there. Shouldn't it be in there at 14?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Is it saying here is it 3 year? Did you put that in?
Yes, it says in section 6.
So all we're changing is the per kilowatt hour rates. Demand meters are increased by 1%, and the everybody else, the non-demand, are staying flat at 0.1411.
You have a second?
Rob Scott.
Amber, did you get all that?
I'll second it.
I think that's where we ended up.
Good job.
Nicely done. And thank you for coming up with that on the fly.
Just looking for
I know.
middle ground.
You found it. Thank you.
Yes.
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 No.
Motion passed. Now, do I need to say anything since we're amending a lot of this? Is that,
No.
nothing? Okay, good. Motion passed. Thank you. All right, and we tabled the gas franchise, so we'll come back and revisit it. Now we're gonna look at council committee reports.
Budget and finance, I think we're up first. Obviously, did a lot of discussion around these rates and the impacts around reserve. Also did a lot of discussion around the feedback we got from the utility rate forum, and really wanted to start a process to figure out how we can help the citizens on a, you know, at the lower end of the financial spectrum that are really getting impacted by any increase, whether it's seniors with fixed income or whatever. So there's a lot of conversation around that. There's some, I don't know, Russ, if you want to talk to some of the things we talked about, ECAN, there's ways you can go about it. You can, grants, there's money out there to be had to help people insulate their home and appliances, you know, basically, so they don't have to come up with the capital to do it. So that's one way to help them lower their utility rates. And then there was discussion around, you know, just some other things around finding a means test where they'd get a certain percentage decrease based on that. So it was just conversation went on for quite a while. I think, you know, there's definitely genuine interest in trying to figure something out for this council to do. And I know, Peter, you kind of jumped in and looked at some alternatives, and I know you're kind of investigating that if you want to jump in.
We had talked about there's other options out there that cities have done. One of them was you provide like a tax ID to the lower income or the Social Security people at the city level, give them a discount on city sales tax. The only downside to that is that's a lot of work that gets passed along to the workers at the city. And I mean, it's not something that we're going to say no to. It's just, that's just one of the other options that other cities had done in the past that we talked about as well. And I think the other one was, you know, and I don't know if this would have to be like a vote down the road or something that we add to one of the other votes, but it would be if the citizens, you know, if kind of along the same lines, if somebody who comes in proves that they are on Social Security or other, you know, if they're on the lower end income wise or on a fixed income and can show that to the city, then they would get a discount on the utilities, but then that would fall on the rest of the residents to cover that. So that would be something that we would want votes on, not, I don't know if we'd want to do that at a city council level, but that was another option that was put out there. So it's not, so we are looking at ways to kind of mitigate some of the increases that are going to hit the, you know, the lower income people the most. So
Good. Anything else? I'm sorry.
I think that was it. Wasn't it? What did I miss?
Yeah.
When's the next meeting? Friday, 9 o'clock, second floor, City Hall.
Thank you.
His brain is worn out.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, we're canceling the rest of the meetings.
Okay, next, community development. Corey?
Yeah, so we have not met since the last meeting. However, on the 23rd, we will be meeting in here at 3 o'clock in this room here. What is this room called?
Executive session.
Executive session.
It's not what it's really called. It's what we call it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, all right. Executive room. That sounds nice.
That's where we
Should have
tell-
a wooden desk in there.
That's where we tell the card players to go, is the executive room.
Okay, good. Well, we're meeting in there. Two local ABC law enforcement agents, alcohol beverage control, have been gracious enough to give us their time and educate us. We have approved the common consumption in Baldwin, and we've got the license for it. We've just never used it yet, and I think there's some. I'll be first to admit I'm a little gun shy about how it's going to work, and I think it's, you know, we've never done it before, and I think it's just, you know, we think it's a good thing. We think it's going to boost traffic to downtown and help out the community and boost sales tax, the whole 9 yards. But just how to go ahead and use that. So they're going to come down. One of the agents in particular, Agent Lafferty, he's had a lot of experience working in communities that have had open consumption. So he's got some pretty good do's and don'ts and advice for how to make it work and flow really well for law enforcement, et cetera. So that's going to be at 3 o'clock in there on the 23rd. Everyone's invited, encouraged, certainly, obviously, law enforcement, local businesses, and city staff.
Thank you. Public Works, Julie?
Yeah, I know the meeting's running long and I've got a lot of stuff to say, so I'll read as fast as I can. The new substation, the HVAC units have been installed and the switchgear have been delivered. Mid-States has been setting the switchgear and completing the wiring inside the building. Chase has been working with the fiber company to coordinate the installation of the fiber needed for controls and monitoring at the substation. Pat's crew continues to make progress on setting poles and starting to move services to the new poles. The Newton substation, the repair in December to the tap changer control appears to have fixed the issue, and the cold weather in January did not cause any issues. Solar, we continue to have a few rooftop applications submitted and expecting Evergy crews to start replacing inverters soon. Winter storm, January 23rd, the Conservative Operations Advisory issued a heightened grid awareness. This was one step below the requirement for all generation to be online. Several municipals were called on during that few days to generate. However, Baldwin was not. There seems to be as much grid instability in extreme cold conditions as the extreme heat during the summer. March 3rd and 10th have been set aside as tentative dates for Evergy to relocate their meter from the Newton substation to the corner of 6th and Orange. The power plant will be generating power during that time, and it'll be approximately 12 hours. Snow removal on January 24 and 25 went well. Extreme cold temperatures are challenging as salt mix doesn't work well when temperatures are below 15 degrees. There was discussion regarding selling the street sweeper that we have. The chip seal list for summer 26 should be completed soon, and final list will be sent out for bids, and recommendation will be brought to the council for approval. Jackson Pool has not finished the repairs on the pool yet. Public Works crew removed the dumped items at Blackjack Park and burned a large brush pile as well. We discussed the personal storage shed at the community garden. Installed 8 new water services on Eisenhower and Washington Street. The North Lawrence meter has stopped transmitting data. They contacted Census and they will be out to determine the cause. Completed interviews for an open maintenance tech position. And our next meeting is March 12th at 9 o'clock at the Public Works Building.
Very thorough, thank you. Strategic planning, Scott.
Not met and do not have anything on the calendar.
Okay, good enough, thank you. Lake Advisory Committee, Jay?
Public safety first.
Did I miss that one? I'm sorry, sir. Public safety?
Yeah, we have a meeting this Thursday at 9 a.m., second floor, City Hall. So we've got a couple things. I think we got a few things that are coming that we'll have to discuss, and so we'll have some things to update the council on at the next meeting. So, but
All right, thank you.
yep.
All right, now, Scott, strategic planning,
And then
Same report.
yeah, and then so Lake Advisory Committee. We met last week since we couldn't meet on the first meeting because of the town hall. We're still moving full speed on a couple grant applications. Things are moving along really well for that. We're kind of coming down in the home stretch of the Douglas County one. I think that's March 5th. So we're gonna meet, we have a meeting planned on March 3rd to kind of button everything up. And some of us, when it goes to the county commission, some of us are probably gonna go to that meeting to show support for our project. And we brought in a new guy that was with the Professional Disc Golf Association, and he had some suggestions to help with our course, to help it be more attractive, to bring more eyes to it, and maybe host a few more tournaments out there. And so I think he'll be a good asset for our lake committee moving forward. And So, and he doesn't even live in town. His mom lives in town, and when he comes to visit, he always goes and plays golf there. So, I mean, it could potentially bring in more outside people. So, something for us to keep looking on and looking at. But a lot of great progress out there. I know I've already said it once, but the Lake Committee people, they're doing a wonderful job. I mean, they're doing all the legwork for me and Julie being on the committee. We're just pretty much there to facilitate the meeting, and those people need a round of applause because they're the ones that are really doing the hard work. And I just want them all to know that their work is much appreciated. And so we're with you guys, and we're going to keep up the good fight. So.
Thank you, Jay. Russ?
6 o'clock on the 3rd in the executive room.
Russ, comments?
No, the only comment, I've got is just kind of like we talked about doing an update every council meeting on the water line. Just let you know, I know I said earlier, those grant haven't came out just yet, but we're hoping they're going to come out the end of this month, first part of next. So that way we could hopefully get part of the design cost covered for it. But that's really the only update.
Very good. Thank you. Counselor, you have anything for us?
To kind of fall on what some of Russ said, if folks could reach out to the league and also to the House of Representatives, if you know any representatives, there's currently it's House Bill 2558 is currently in committee, and they're looking at increasing, helping city municipalities with their water infrastructure by increasing those grants. And that would go into effect 2027 and 2028, hopefully about the time we get maybe our estimate of what we want to do, and maybe we can use that estimate to get a better grant from the state when they increase that funding. So definitely reach out to the league, make sure they know that we have this in the pipeline and we could really use those funds, and reach out to your representatives, or if you know any other representatives outside of Baldwin, reach out to them, because this would be a really, really great bill to get out of committee, passed, and then signed by the governor.
Good. Thank you. Hammer, anybody? Any other members of the council would care to say anything?
I wanted to kind of ask Jay on his no votes. I guess through the discussion, I couldn't tell if it was no because they were too high or too low.
Too high.
Too high. Okay. Thank you.
Any other things? Just to let everybody know, I contacted the Kansas League of Municipalities, the Mayor's Association, and joined back up. Baldwin kind of been like on an island that we didn't have a lot of participation from the Mayor's Association, but we're back in it. And honestly, council, I can't tell you what all that's going to entail, but we're back on the Mayor's Association for the state of Kansas. I am receiving some training, or going to training in April of this year on leadership for small municipalities put on by the league. The city's going to pay for it. I would encourage anyone who wants to go with me. It's in Salina. It basically starts at 9 and done by 3. It's on a Friday, so it'd be real easy to drive down and back. I promise not to smoke cigars in the car if you go with me. So we have that. And just to let everybody know, I'm going to be very honest with you. I was a little apprehensive about tonight. I'm not quite sure how it was going to run. Because, I had a couple of people approach me this week and last week and talk about, quote, the drama of the city council, and if this is what we wanted and wanted to go through and portray to the city and to people outside the city who saw us. And, it was just some rough patches. We got through it. We did fine. And I thought tonight was excellent. We had great conversation, good feedback, opposing viewpoints that were good. And I like that. That's how we work. That's how we operate. Because to let you know, we have got a lot of work ahead of us. I'm finding some things as I move along that we need to update. We need to go through and realign. And I mean, there's just a lot out there. So council, I appreciate your cooperation tonight. I appreciate everyone here. This was a hard one. It's tough to raise rates. I'm going to have to give credit where credit is due. Scott, Corey, you were on that finance committee too for a while. You you chimed in and helped us out. I appreciate that. I want to make sure that you're acknowledged for your work and participation, and thank you. I think it went well, and we'll just keep moving forward and do what's best for the community and for the city. Thank you. Nothing else? Meeting adjourned.
15 seconds, we get 9:30, 2.5 hours. No, just go.
Meeting adjourned.
Oh, we got a motion. We hit it.
I move we adjourn.
All right, motion made, meeting adjourned.
Who seconded it? I seconded it.
He seconded it.
I'm a yes.
It's always me and Corey.
Yeah, we are the ones.